Coming up on Network Africa. At least 21 boys die while undergoing circumcision in South Africa. Opposition candidates intensify their campaigns as DRC's presidential election draws near. Today marks the United Nations International Migrants Day with a focus on the dignity of migrants. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Teniola Shuboale. We begin in South Africa, where at least 21 boys have died while undergoing circumcision in the biannual ceremony, which began in November. Local media reports that 17 young boys died in Eastern Cape province, while 2 others died in the Northwest and Western Cape. The deaths happened despite a crackdown on illegal initiation schools, which has resulted in deaths in the past. However, the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa blames the government for the deaths, saying there was a lack of support and resources in programs aimed at reducing the number of casualties. Spokesperson for the Congress says the government should declare initiation-related deaths a national disaster. Joining us now is our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibiat, to discuss more on this. Hello, Betty.
Hi, Teniola.
It's good to see you. This is quite a heartbreaking story coming from the Cape Province. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, as you said earlier, it's the initiation season. You have some in the summer period, which is the season where we are now, and we have in the winter as well. In this particular case, we understand 17 boys died in the Eastern Cape, where you have the Xhosas. And then you have 2 from the Northwest and 2 in the Western Cape. We understand the majority of the deaths stem from dehydration. It's been a very hot summer. We have septicemia, which is some form of blood poisoning. And we understand one of the deaths had to do with one of the initiates committing suicide by hanging. So this debate over safety of the initiates has been ongoing for years. Most of the time, deaths are recorded for various reasons. And the government is sort of stuck somewhere trying to support and again, not to meddle with tradition. So it's a struggle on all sides, but it's a problem a lot of people hope will go away or will be handled. And you can imagine the kind of Christmas the families will be having now. A lot of people are unhappy about it, of course, expectedly, but it's a problem that's been on for years.
I mean, Betty, this is a large number, 21 boys. How is the country reacting? Can we expect a change now?
We've had higher numbers. We've had higher numbers in the past years. Even one death is one too many. So people are unhappy about it, and people wonder why people still go. But it is the tradition, as I say. There's some sort of bragging rights, at the end of it. Not just anyhow bragging. Look, it's called a passage from boyhood to manhood. So it means a lot to the ethnic groups that practice this. The government has tried to push more people to medical male circumcision. But the traditionalists, like you mentioned, the Contralesa, that's the Congress for Traditional Leaders, South Africa, they believe it's not just about circumcision. Boys are taught in these initiation schools or the seasons to the responsibilities of being a man, where they move now from being boys to men. So it just goes beyond male circumcision. But people are not happy about any death. Sometimes you have families recording more than one, depending on the age range of the boys who go to such places. And we've had the issue, you mentioned crackdown, we've had the issues of illegal initiation schools who kidnap young boys and now hold them and insist on the families paying for the initiation process. So these are some of the problems that the government here is struggling with, and now this happening. But we've recorded worse numbers as well.
help us understand, it seems like there's a right to this. Help us understand why they go through this.
Unlike in most places or some places, the circumcision doesn't happen within 7 days like some traditions do. You have some in Nigeria as well. Here, some of the ethnic groups, especially mainly the Xhosas and some other smaller ethnic groups, they go through the male circumcision when they're about teenagers. So it's expected that the men pass on from being boys to men, introduced from being boys to men. So they all go. Some families send you there. There's a big celebration when you go and come back safely and you feel like a man. And there's some people are forced to go. So it's tradition that people are hoping will be loosened up, maybe loosened up a little to accept some modern aspects, to ensure the safety of the initiates. But it's a struggle going on here.
Well, the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa are blaming the government for the deaths. Is the government truly to blame for this?
I wouldn't say that. Remember, I was talking about the struggle of government to support, to help, because I'm sure some government officials have gone through that as teenagers as well. But at the same time, not to meddle. The statement you were talking about is the spokesperson of Contralesa, that's Kolile Ndevu, who talked about that, saying that government pushes a lot of funds towards medical male circumcision. That's the campaign I spoke about earlier, where people are told, why don't you just walk into the hospital, get circumcised, stay celibate for about 6 weeks, and then you're good to go, and you save your life. But there are traditional ceremonies surrounding going up to the mountain, going with other boys to the mountain or to the bush to go through this process. It goes beyond just circumcision. They want the totality. So that's the problem. So Lillian Devo was talking about government supporting just medical male circumcision and believes that people, maybe the initiates, be supported by government by having medical screening before going up to ensure they're fit enough to be part of it, or maybe other campaigns or other measures to help, in making it much safer for the initiates when they go, while still keeping the tradition intact, because some suggested, why don't you scrap this? But they say, no, we can't throw it away because we'll have nothing to talk about traditionally regarding this.
Finally, will there be some sort of investigation for the family, some sort of closure?
Of course, government, the different, especially the COGTA is the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Ministry or the department. They've called, and several interest groups have called for investigations into this. Of course, this will happen to give answers to the families of these people who have died. But will this stop is what people are hoping for. Will not the process now, will it be made safer? That's what people are hoping for.
We'll have to wait and see. I hope we're speaking on better terms next time, Betty. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.